Next up in the series of thank you videos is actually going to be a thank you to my sophomore and senior class English teacher at Susan Wagner High School, Mr. Bashkim Pelinkovic. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. He was also called Mr. P by all the students. Now, Mr. P taught English, but one of the things that he taught that was not advertised, that was being taught in his class, is he taught how to obtain people's authority, how to earn people's respect, and how to understand the real-world consequences of your actions, and just how to deal with people in this really unique way. So most teachers, if you do something wrong, they're going to tell you that you did something wrong. Oh, you disobeyed the rule. Now because you did, that's not cool. You're punished. And that doesn't really stop the kid from doing it again. That doesn't stop the kid from feeling motivated to do it again. He did that because he thought it was cool or it was something fun. If he still thinks that's something cool or fun to do, then he's going to do it again because all you've done is you've put a little punishment in front of the cool thing that he did. What Mr. P knew how to do that nobody else knew how to do as a high school teacher. This is really cool because Mr. P was 27 years old when he was doing this, and most of the teachers that are 40, 50, 60 years old didn't know how to do what he did with his limited experience in his 20s, was he knew how to make it not cool what you were doing. So he would hone in on some insecurity that you had. He would hone in on your neediness. And this is important because I've talked about neediness in the salesmanship video series, how neediness is something that hurts you. Neediness is a weakness. He would, oh, so you think that this is cool. So you want, okay, so tell us your joke. So let's say somebody was talking when they weren't supposed to. We go, come on, tell everybody. Like, no, I don't want to. No, tell everybody. I want to know what's more important than passing this test. I want to know what's more interesting than somebody who sold 1 million books has to say. Will you be able to sell 1 million books off of what you're talking about right now? Come on, tell everybody. I want to know what it is you have to say. Is it really that interesting? Is it something that everybody here should fail English for? Is it something that everybody here is going to jump and say, you know what, I want to listen to what you have to say because it's so much more interesting than what's in this book. Tell me, come on. He would make you feel so small. And it's been over 10 years since I've been in his class, so I'm sure I'm getting a lot of stuff wrong. But the point is, he would just make you feel small and silly. He wouldn't have to punish you. He wouldn't have to give you a 0 for the day. He wouldn't have to call your parents in so that he could talk to your parents about how your behavior in class wasn't right. He never had to get you to sit in the assistant principal's office. He never had to send you out of class. He just made you feel small when you did something that was really dumb. And he earned people's authority the proper way. You would not do that thing again because you were afraid of getting punished. You wouldn't do that stupid shit again because you legitimately felt bad about whatever neediness you had as a teenager, whatever neediness you had to feel special, whatever neediness you had to be cool. He took that and he turned it around on you so that it was no longer cool to do whatever stupid shit that you did. It was something to feel ashamed of. And he would use that inner sense of shame to get you to do what you were supposed to be doing. Conversely, he also knew how to gain your authority in a proper way. So when you walked into his classroom, you weren't a 14 or a 15-year-old student. You were his equal. He treated you like an adult. He talked to you like an adult. He explained things to you like an adult. And when he was talking to you, he would look you in the eye and he would really feel like you were on his level. It wouldn't be like, you're a student and I'm treating you like you're below me, but oh, good, you got it right. Let me pat you on the head. Good job. No, he would have these conversations with you the same way I imagine he would have conversations with his friends or his family or his neighbors. He would kind of talk to you like you were on his level. And one of the things that I've talked about is you often get out of people what you expect out of them. So if a teacher kind of expects that you're some piece of shit 10th grader that is going to be immature and not really understand anything, then that's what you're going to kind of get out of that person. But when somebody talks to you like you're a real adult, when they treat you like a real human being, when they don't necessarily talk to you within the confines of the curriculum or how it is you're trained to talk to children, what you often realize is that you have these 15 and 16 and 17-year-olds that actually start acting like adults around you, and they really earn your authority. So when you treat me like an adult and you treat me like an equal and you treat me like a real human being because I've done nothing wrong to, facilitate you treating me differently, I'm actually going to behave in your classroom. I'm going to show up on time. I'm going to be excited. I'm going to do the homework. I'm going to listen to what you have to say without being distracted by a cell phone or the person talking next to me, because that's not cool. He gave me that attention. He gave me that validation. He gave me that respect. So don't you disrespect him. He kind of had this way of earning authority through a natural way. It wasn't like he said, hey, I'm the teacher and you're the student, or, I'm above you, therefore you listen to me. Rather, he treated you like you're on my level, and because you're on my level, you have no reason to really dislike me, or you have no reason to really think it's like an us versus them kind of relationship like what you see in so many classrooms. So he knew how to earn people's authority in a very organic way. And it really, really worked. And it taught me that you don't earn authority from people by saying, I'm the employer, you're the employee. You earn authority from people by treating them like a coworker, by treating them as if you expect them to succeed. I'm not going to watch the door. I'm not going to have you punch a clock to see that you come to work on time. I'm just going to assume that you're going to come to work on time. I'm going to put this task in front of you. I'm not going to treat you like a fucking idiot while I'm walking you through it. I'm going to assume that this is something that you can understand. Another thing that Mr. P did that was really good was he would always be able to relate the stories that we were reading in these books to real life. He was always able to relate them to real life situations. He could relate them to real life feelings. So instead of saying, so how, like, what was the imagery in the forest in chapter 7 of this book, like you have all these other stupid fucking English teachers do, where they're just asking you, like, the fucking color of the tree, or how did Amy feel at the end of this chapter, and that other bullshit. He was actually able to take stories. So how would you feel if this person did that? Or they would say, did you see that teacher yelling in the hall that day? Do you know why they were yelling at this? Because that person was mad because of this. Well, that's the same way that Othello felt in this scene. Do you get it now? He was able to relate all these real world events that we could understand, that we could, realize were things that happen in the real world. He could take those and he could take them to the book. That's why that was the only English class throughout high school that I actually did well in, the only English class where I actually read the books, because even if I didn't understand what was going on, I knew that when I came to school the next day that Mr. P was going to be able to explain it to me in a manner where I understood it. And that's what I've been trying to do with this video series. So for example, when I'm talking about how a DC to DC boost circuit works, one of the ways that I explain it is I say, think of it like stopping short in a car. So, when you stop short in a car, and even if you're moving at 20 miles an hour, for that one split second, you're moving faster than that. That's the same thing with a DC to DC boost circuit. You start at 12 volts, but then you stop and start, and for that one split second, you're moving, your voltage is not 12 volts, it's 20 volts or 40 volts or 50 volts. And then I show it to you with pictures. And there are a lot of people where I tried to, there are people that try to explain how a DC to DC boost circuit works and they fail, and they're masters and PhDs in electronics engineering, and then I explain it as a college dropout, and the person gets it. And my definition is based on what's actually happening. I would not have been able to have the basic electronics video series if it wasn't for Mr. P. I would have not have been able to explain all these advanced concepts to you in a manner in which you can understand it if you don't have a college degree or you're not knowledgeable on electronics. I wouldn't be able to explain this to you the way I do if I didn't take Mr. P's class. Mr. P's class taught me how to relate the real world to what it is I'm trying to teach. It's because of Mr. P that I was able to relate all these advanced concepts to you in a manner that you could understand. Without his course, I'd be explaining a lot of these things and you wouldn't have a fucking clue what's going on. And what he also taught me was that the world does not care about your excuses. I remember showing up late one day because the bus was fucked up. Something went wrong with the bus, and we had to wait to get on another one. And the bus driver, it wasn't like a bus like a yellow bus; it was the MTA bus. So we knew that the teachers weren't going to like this. So he said, "Listen, I'll write whatever you need to write, so that your teacher knows that I didn't mean for you to be late." And I give the note to the teacher, and all the other kids got away with this note. They gave it to the teacher, whatever. I give it to Mr. P, and he rips it up. He's like, why should I care about this? When I'm late to work, when there are 30 students that have to be sat down in a class and taken care of, do you think my assistant principal cares that I was late because my tire went out? No, they care that I'm not in class. Do you think anybody cares if I don't show up to my job while I'm not there? All they care about is that I wasn't here to do my job when I was supposed to. Nobody cares about any of this petty crap. He literally ripped it. He didn't just rip it. He threw it. He's like, don't give me this stuff again. I don't know if he said shit or not. I'm pretty sure he didn't say shit. He was very good at not cursing. He would always find ways to get his point across. And you knew that there was a curse there, but he didn't say the curse word. He's like, don't give me this shit again. And really, I learned, I have to be responsible for this. So what if, this really taught me something about the 15-minute rule. So I had a video a while back on something called the 15-minute rule, which is if your life can be stopped, if something can happen that delays you 15 minutes and you're screwed, you're living your life the wrong way. You need to live your life where if somebody stops and grabs you for 15 minutes and wastes your time, that you're not screwed, that you're not going to be late for work, that you're not going to miss your plane, that you're not going to miss a deadline with a customer that's paying you $7,000. And that's what I had learned from that. The bus driver was late. The bus broke down or he crashed or whatever it was. It's not my fault that the bus happened, but he taught me that I have control over my own life. He told me, what if you had gotten the bus that was 15 minutes early? Now, let's say that you were delayed by 15 minutes. you would have been totally fine because you had planned to be 15 minutes early. You have control over this. Do you want to give control to the bus driver of your life, or do you want to be in control of your life? He made it about so much more than just getting a 0 for the day and being late for class. It wasn't about the rules. It wasn't about showing up on time so I get an A. He made it about, do you want to be in control of your life, or do you want other people to be in control of your life? Nobody else had ever explained it to me like that, which is why it wasn't until I was 15 or 16 years old that I really understood that I am in control of my life. I'm responsible for my life, and I'm in control of whether or not I'm a success or a failure. I'm in control of whether or not I'm successful. He taught me, and he told me that you don't want other people to be in control of the success of your own life. And that's something that no teacher tries to teach you. Other teachers try to teach you that, you want to be on time because it's respecting the teacher and it's respecting the school, and you'll miss important parts of class if you're late, and you'll miss me explaining the color of that tree in the forest, and you'll get a 0, and nobody cares about the color of the tree in the forest. Nobody cares about getting 1 0. But when you put it in terms of, do I want to be in control of my life and my success or not, and you give good examples of it, now you got me thinking. And I do want to be in control of my own success. I do want to be in control of my own life. I do want to take responsibility for it, because if I'm responsible for my failure, that means I'm responsible for avoiding failure, which means that I'm responsible for my success, which means I'm in control of my success. It's not that I can't afford college because they made it so expensive, and unfortunately, since I never was given a lot of money, I wasn't able to go to college, so I guess I just can't learn electronics, so I guess I just can't learn board repair. No, I'm responsible for my own life. I'm in control of my own success and failure. I'm in control of whether or not I want to spend 2 hours a day after work reading to solve a problem. I'm in control of whether or not I have it in me, I have the stones to spend money on a tool that I may not be able to make money back on, because I need that tool to be able to work on this thing. Mr. P taught me that I'm in control of my own life, that I earn authority in an organic way from people by expecting out of them what I want out of them. And he taught me that it's not that you make it uncool to be late. You don't make it uncool to break things. You don't make it uncool to laugh while you're not doing your job properly. That you find that person's sense of shame. You find that person's, whatever the neediness that they have is, and you just weed it out of them, and you use that to shame them into not doing things that are wrong. And, you taught me how to hire a proper staff. You taught me how to teach. You taught me how to take accountability for my own life. And that's something that I'm very thankful for, because if I didn't have your class, Mr. P, I would probably be a complete fucking failure by now today. And I'm pretty sure that right as I was graduating, you had gotten a promotion to being the dean and you weren't teaching anymore. And, as much as you deserve all the success in life that you could possibly have, and as much as you deserve to probably be a superintendent of a school or to be one of the higher ups that gets 6 figures a year to sit down at a desk and just make decisions, I honestly hope that you're a teacher, and I hope that you still teach, because I hope that other students have the opportunity to learn all the things that I did. And I don't mean that in a selfish way where I think that, you should just continue being a teacher and getting whatever salary a base teacher gets. But I really hope that other people have the opportunity to learn from you the same way that I did. So thank you very much, Mr. One thing that I actually did forget to mention the other day in that video, another thing that Mr. P did that, again, I'm not saying this to try to get him in trouble. So if you're an AP of any kind or like his boss, please take this with a grain of salt and listen to the entire thing. One of the things that I loved about him is this one thing that he started doing towards the end of the year to try to kind of change the student culture. And this is one of the things that Mr. P is absolutely great at, because once you notice a student culture getting out of hand, it's really hard to draw that back in. It's easy to get individual people in trouble, but it's really hard to kind of change the way an entire class dynamic works once people kind of start drifting. And this is something that he was really good at. So he was talking about people being late. So as the term went on, people were getting more and more comfortable kind of walking in or, just dazing in 3 or 4 or 5 minutes late. And it was a casual thing here, and then it started to get slow, a little bit worse and worse and worse. And he wasn't the type of person that really kind of wanted to bitch at everybody individually. He was not the type of person who just kind of wanted to give you a 0 for the day or send a note home to your mom and your dad and say your student is 3 or 5 minutes late. He wasn't a traditional teacher. Mr. P knew how to get you to change how you acted and to get you to quickly realize what the adult world is like while bypassing all of that crap. So this is one of the great things that he did. He had this quiz, and I remember coming in one day, and it's I'm getting there, like I'm usually a little early, but this day it was a day where I was just getting there on time, and he hands me a paper, and he's got a strict face on. I'm like, what is this? And he's like, it's a quiz. Sit down. And I'm like, oh fuck. And he's like, come on. Just sit down. We're going to take a quiz. And he's giving the paper to everybody. He's like, okay, ready? And everybody's barely gotten their pen out yet. And he's on question number 1. And they're like, wait, we don't have a pen yet. We got a pen. He's like, number 1, what is the name of the book we are reading? And it's like, Othello? I'm like, okay, this got to be a joke. We get to question number 2. Number 2, who is the main character in the book that we are reading? Who is the protagonist in the book that we are reading? Othello? Question 3, who is the author of the book that we are reading? William Shakespeare? And like the quiz went on like this, like number 4. What is the date of today's quiz? And it's just, and here's what he did. So he gave this quiz out at Susan Wagner High School in 2003, 4, 5, and 6. The bell rang at 8:25 a.m. on the spot, and he started giving out these pieces of paper at 8:24 and 59 seconds. And the whole point here was that if you showed up on time, you got 100. Again, if you somehow managed to get a single question wrong on this quiz, you just deserve to be just tossed out the window. But the whole point here was that, is this senior class English? No, that's not senior class English level. That is not even fucking kindergarten level. That's a joke. But the point here is, for all you people who think that it's okay to be just a minute late, that it's just okay to be 2 minutes late, that it's okay to ignore what I have to say when I'm telling you why it is you should be here on time, why I value you being here on time, why I don't want you walking past all of my students and distracting them on your way to your desk and having them listen to you rustle in your bag as you're taking stuff out of it and having you miss my lesson and me feeling like I have to postpone the important parts of my lesson so that everybody hears it. Since you don't value that, instead of me trying to explain it with zeros, instead of me trying to explain it with, sending you to the principal's office or sending a note to your home or, bitching at you individually as you walk in and seeming like the asshole teacher, how about, I just get you to realize the point from within. So instead of me externally trying to force that point onto you, I'm going to try to get you to realize what's going on. And all those people that came late, like, you got a 0, and I got a 100 for knowing the name of the fucking book we're reading. That was pretty cool. And the whole point here is, people are like, that's not fair. I can't believe that. It's like, what do you mean it's not fair? I'm giving a quiz. You missed it. If you miss a test, you get a 0, right? That was explained in the beginning. Yes, again, really, no fucking teacher gives a quiz at 8:25 that lasts for 40 seconds. But he worked within the confines of the rules to get a point across to the students, which is when you live your life where you stop what you're doing, you stop for 15 minutes, and that stopping for 15 minutes screws you. When you live life in such a rush like that you're fucked. And this is something that I learned again in life with my the space that I have here with the store. So this is a very small room in the back of my store. This is a dump, but the entire store itself is 750 square feet. I got like a 300 or 400 square foot basement. That's a lot of real estate for being on 12th Street and First Avenue as a small business. And I started the space with something like $3,500 a month in rent, which is a joke. There are people with apartments in this neighborhood that cost way more than that. And they're smaller than this fucking store. That for this neighborhood, what I pay is a joke. And the other people who kind of had an idea of what I was paying at the time that I was paying it, they don't like me. Like, they look at me like, oh, that's the asshole that's paying 1/3 the rent that we are for the same shit. And the reason I got this space at this price, a lot of it has to do with the fact that I showed up on time. So when I first went to meet the landlord of this space, I meant to be a half hour early. I wound up being a little late, so I was only 15 minutes early to meet him. Again, Mr. P's rule. Don't live your life where if like 5 minutes gets taken out of what you're doing, that you're screwed, that you're going to be late and miss something. Because you're probably going to miss something that's good, like a free 100 on a quiz. And so I get here. And again, the reason I got here early is because I follow Mr. P's rule. So I wait for 5 minutes, nobody shows up, I'm bored, I walk into the music store next door, and I realize that the people who work at the music store are actually the family of the landlord. So I go to talk to them a little bit, and I speak with them, and I ask them about their business, I ask about the space, and eventually we get to talking about the other people who applied, and we start talking about the tenants. Now, I'm talking about the tenants of the space and the other people who've applied, and they tell me what it is that they find important about this space. What they found important about this space, what they really wanted out of a tenant here, was very different from what I thought they wanted out of a tenant. So there were some people who were applying for this space that wanted to turn it into a garden restaurant, and they wanted to pay 3 times as much money, 3 times what I was paying to turn this into a garden restaurant. the owner wanted something entirely different for the space. So they told me what it is they wanted for the space. The family told me their concerns and, what had made them hesitant to sign with other tenants. And then I kind of had an idea of what he wanted. So I was able to shape my presentation. I was able to shape my attitude towards this landlord so that I could appear to be exactly what it was that he wanted so that I could get the space. And that's exactly what I did. So everything I talked about with what I was going to or not going to build, everything I talked about that my business would or would not offer, I phrased it all within the confines of what I understood from what his family told me that he wanted. And I wound up getting picked with the measly amount of money that I had in my back pocket instead of all these other tenants that had all these other potential tenants that had a lot more money. Can you imagine how much less money I'd have in my pocket if I were paying real cost for real estate? Can you imagine how much less money my employees would make if I had the space that looked exactly like this down the block that cost $9,000 or $10,000? These are all things to think about. And the reason that I was able to get this space, it's not just because I'm lucky. It's not just because I get everything I want or because it was just handed to me. It's because I showed up on time. I followed Mr. P's rule. This rule actually works. You can apply that to the real world. I got a 100 on that quiz, and that quiz has saved me 6 figures over the duration of my lease. This is much more than just, and again, your ability to do these things, your ability on a job interview to have a 5-minute talk with the receptionist where you want time. Your ability to figure out what somebody wants from the super rather than speaking to an intermediary who's probably not going to know shit that you had planned to meet with, and that's going to be some detail that's going to make you an extra $5,000 or $10,000. That's going to come from showing up early. That's going to come from not living a lifestyle where you're constantly stressed and you don't have time to really stop and enjoy your surroundings and think because you are in a rush because you're irresponsible. And that's something that I learned from Mr. P's class. And that's something that I learned not just from when he was talking to me with the bus example from earlier in the video, but that's something that I also learned from just that quiz example. And it's something that no other teacher is really going to go through the effort to do, but Mr. P did. And, that's why he was my most effective teacher throughout K through 12. And that's also why I want to thank you for being a great teacher and for helping me with my life. And, I'm turning 27 this November. I'm going to be turning 27. Mr. P was 27 the first year that I had him as a teacher. So this is why this is actually kind of like a milestone birthday for myself. Because when I figured out that he was 27, I was thinking to myself as a 14-year-old snot-nosed teenager, this person has it together to this extent. So when I'm that age, I have to at the very least have it together as much as this guy does. And so this is going to be a milestone birthday for me because this is the birthday where I really have to be doing what I want to do with my life. I have to kind of like close off all these loose ends and all these problems and all these little nightmares and all these things that I'm not really happy with. And I feel like I've done a lot of work towards doing that, and I feel like I'm very close to being there. But this is that milestone birthday because I see that age because of him as, a point in my life where I really should have my shit together. And I just got to say thank you for imparting that onto me through your teaching.